All right. Looks like we are on and you are crying. Where are we starting the show
I'm
off with you?
so I'm melting, you guys. My fan is going insane. I have this Beyonce like fan wind tunnel thing happening. So
It looks amazing. It looks amazing. All right, we're on. Take it
high
away.
production value. Welcome to YouTube Backstage.
I love it.
That's what we're doing. So, welcome everybody. We are going to be going live every Friday around noon Eastern, and we are taking you backstage, ta-da, on how we're growing this YouTube channel. So, it's including the good stuff and the bad stuff, right? You are willing to show the bad stuff, right, Jerry?
I think that's why you're here, to hold me accountable. It's not something I've always done in the past. I've sort of followed what everybody else does and just be like, ta-da. So yes,
Okay.
but I know I learn more from mistakes, and I think other people do too.
I think you learn faster too.
Yeah, yeah,
Like when you
absolutely.
watch how something gets screwed up. So, forgiveness for any sort of tech issues that we may be having. We're working with some new stuff. So, I am Candy Harper. Yeah, yeah, we'll see. And that is Sherry Potter. So, uh, I'm excited to see what we're going to start with first because I know we're scripting today.
Yes. Yeah. So we are live here. We live in Arizona, the United States. If you are here live,
That's why I'm
welcome
so
everybody.
hot.
So excited that you're here. Feel free to let us know where you're watching from right now in the comments. Yes, Candy is sitting in a
Oh,
room
hey,
with
Carol.
direct sunlight right now. So if she starts sweating, it's not
If
nerves.
I
It's
start
just
taking off clothes, I swear that's not what this type of show is supposed to be,
that's
but
not what
just,
this live stream is. Yeah.
just kind of like help me out here.
Okay. So here's what we're going to be doing today. Let me just bring up this. So what we're starting with today is video planning. So the goal is, while we're live, to map out a full month's worth of video scripts, titles, and thumbnails in real time, talk through the process. I'm going to use some of the tools that I use, but I'll also talk about how you can do it with whatever tools you might use. So that's today. Next week, making better videos. This is the one I'm actually more nervous about, because I'm not always the best at going back, and you can look at your YouTube videos and see where people dropped off, and it's basically like going in and seeing, okay, where did I suck? But I also know that I can learn from it, and hopefully you can learn from it. So we're going to do that next week. The next week is going to be all about the video packaging. So these videos we're making, these are my August videos. You will see us build them here, and then you will see them show up on the channel in August. So we'll finalize the packaging. That's titles, thumbnails. We're going to build them live, experiment, delete some, obviously, right here
Yes.
on this series. And then after that, a little nerdy, but again, I avoided analytics for years. It's so important to look at our analytics. So I want to show you the easy way that I look at my analytics every month, and really, what will change based on that. What shifts will we make? So that is all what is going to be coming up here in the next few weeks. I see people that are checking in here. Let's see. How do I? There we go. Carol says
Yeah.
Seattle,
Oh,
61 degrees and sunny.
beautiful. I'm so jealous. I'm so jealous, Carol.
Hello from British Columbia. Listening from Oregon. Lots of
Ooh,
Pacific
Oregon's going to
Northwest
get
there.
a
Yeah.
heat wave here pretty soon.
London, Ontario. I love how everybody's sharing their temperature too. Let's see. Geneva is here, says hello from Detroit. I got to get faster at clicking these so they show up. And then
This
Linda
little
says,
the
what?
comment thing is cool, Jerry. I like this comment thing.
Yeah, I think the way they kind of like slide in is fancy, but I think it's slower to go through them. So maybe we'll adjust that. But and then Christian is here from the UK. Awesome. Good afternoon to you.
What
Happy
up?
Friday night. It's going to be a wild Friday night, right? Good morning from
Oh, we're
rainy
having a
Fort Worth,
sleepover in,
Texas.
in Indonesia. Did you see that? Where
Oh
I
no, I didn't
waited
see that
to
one.
up tonight to see you guys from Indonesia. All
Very
right.
nice. Okay. So, what we're going to do is jump into the process. And I just wanted to share really quick that my goal is to respond to what I hear a lot when I'm on coaching calls with with our members and clients is, you make everything look so easy. And in some ways, it is, because I've figured out ways to grow YouTube and get leads easier, but there's still lots of stuff that's not easy. Tech goes wrong. There are challenges, issues, things like that. And so I just want to remove any like expectation for you and your channel that everything should be easy, and the moments it's not, you quit. Okay, so that's kind of my goal as we go through this. So we're going to write out my 4 videos for August today. And let me just swipe to the screen here that we're going to be using. So I'm going to be using the YT90 script writing app. This is an app I built. Our members in YT90 Growth Lab get to use this. You don't need to buy anything. Like, I built this on my frameworks for high retention videos. But if you can get good script outlines from ChatGPT or Claude, that's fine. I was never really able to. But I'm going to show you how I think about scripting no matter what tool you use. But I also didn't want to be like, we have this thing, you can't have it kind of thing. So if anyone wants to try YT90 Growth Lab, you can get your first month for only $5. There's a 60-day money-back guarantee, and there's a link in the description for that. But basically, the app is designed to get our scripts 90% of the way there in seconds, and then you take a few minutes to do the last 10% to be the human in the loop. So let's jump in. My first video for August. So what we do is we come in and we start by putting in the video idea. And so let me just pull up my list here. Okay, so the first video.
Just to be clear, Jerry, while you're pulling that up, this is what the app actually. Oh, pointing. No, wait. Here we go. I got it. This is what the app actually looks like. This is what it looks like. Because there are some people who look at when we do the demo of this particular app and they're like, well, wait, what is it going to look like for me? This is what it's going to look like for you.
Yeah, this is the actual app. This is what I use, which is fun because then when something's not working right, I'm like, let's go make an upgrade. Okay, so you really put in 4 things for every video, and it's the same thing that you should think about your videos no matter what tools you're using. So first, obviously, is the idea. Now here in the app, I have my audience saved, basically, we call this the channel filter internally, but it's what they're chasing. They want to grow a lead generating YouTube channel. That's probably why you're here. And then what they're escaping, they don't want it to take over their life because they're busy. That's all pre-saved in there. Now, here are the 3 areas that we're going to fill out for the video. And no matter what, you should have these 3 things in each of your scripts as well. So I'm just going to dictate in here. So first, the main talking points or steps. So again, remember, this is the minimalist YouTube setup for business owners, people that are trying to get started on YouTube and they're thinking like, oh my gosh, I've got to have a professional lighting kit and a $500 microphone and a $2,000 camera, and it's just not true. So, but I like this minimalist phrasing. So I'm going to just hit this microphone button here and basically tell it what I'm going to talk about in the video. So in this video, I would talk about how the viewer just needs to see and hear you, and that's about it. If they can see and hear you, that's enough for you to get started. But then I would also talk about, first we talk about sound. So I started with a $15 microphone that plugged into my phone, which is really all you need. And I'll mention that there's a link to the one that I used in the description for people that are getting started on a budget. But if you do go out and buy a microphone, you want to look for one that, with a cardioid pickup pattern. You don't ever have to know this word again, but it's basically a microphone that only picks up sound in one direction. So it doesn't pick up sound around you. Hopefully it won't pick up the leaf blower that we often have outside our house, at our neighbors, things like that. So I do have some specific recommendations about microphones, and I will make sure to tell people that those are in the description of the video. Another thing with sound, I have what I think is the world's ugliest rug in my office. And so I would talk about how if you have a rug, if you don't have carpet, you can put down a rug because that helps reduce room echo. I just like to talk about how ugly my rug is because it doesn't matter what it looks like. And then I would also share with people that they can put curtains up that will also help reduce echo. I have blackout curtains because they're a little thicker. And so then that does reduce that. So, all right, I'm going to stop this here real quick just because we're live and I just want to make sure that it's working before I go through the rest. But just so you know, normally I just literally ramble through what I would talk about. You can pause. AI is great for dictating too because you can pause. Okay, look, yeah. So there's my rambling. Okay.
Okay, and I didn't want to mention anything. Kind of rude. I picked out that rug.
Yes, and then you said I don't care about it, so now it's here in the office. All right, I'm just going to continue with the other stuff that I would talk about. But yeah, sometimes I just dictate on mobile, and while I'm on a hike or something like that. So. I would talk about cameras. I would encourage people just to use their phone. Any modern smartphone is plenty high quality. I generally like to use a webcam for my videos because I can record straight into my recording software. And then I would link to my favorite webcams for that in the description. The third topic I would talk about in this video is the video background. I would want to encourage people to know that a plain wall is totally fine. The main thing, if you do have stuff behind you, is make sure that it doesn't distract from the message. It's very popular on YouTube to have a ton of stuff behind you, and you just want to, like, that doesn't matter. Like, if it's too distracting and it's making people not listen to you, that's going to hurt you, especially as a business owner. So even a plain wall is fine. If you want to put something back there, you can add something that reflects your authority if you want, depending on what your expertise is. For me, I have my YouTube plaque on the wall. And then for lighting, I would encourage people to just use a window. Like, I think we pretty much all look the best in natural light. It smooths out our skin, helps our complexion while still looking like us. Make sure it's not a window that's behind you, though. And I would say one tip I would give about lighting is if you are using a window and artificial light, then you would have, what you'd want to do is you want to look for bulbs for your light that are 5600 Kelvin or 56K. They're sometimes labeled because that's the same, it's called color temperature as outside light. So when you mix them, you get nice even light, as opposed to if you have like a warm light, like a lot of living room lamps would be, and you have natural light, then your skin gets all kinds of weird tones. And then I have lights I can recommend, but I'm not going to talk about it in the video. I'll just put them in the description. All right. So I just rambled this in. I've never done it. I've never stopped in the middle. Hopefully. Huh?
Talk about the rambling. There it goes. It just went.
It kept the first part? Okay, good. Yeah. Yep. So the great part about this, and like I said, you can ramble into any AI tool, is you can stop, you can think, you can pause. You know, sometimes if I'm hiking while I do this and I'm trying to not fall or make sure there's no rattlesnakes on the trail, you know, sometimes I'll just stop talking for 30 seconds and then pick up my thoughts again. So here I'm not trying to perform, but because we're live streaming, I think I find myself like performing a little bit, like, oh, I've got to make this look professional. But yeah, seriously, just rambling. So that's the first thing you want in every script. Second thing, personal or illustrative stories. So there are only 3 things that you have that AI doesn't have and nobody else has. One of them is your face. One of them is your stories. And the third one is your strong opinions, which we're going to do next. Okay. So I have these separately on here just so that, you know, when I do it or anybody else use it, they always remember that, oh yeah, I want to make sure that I have some stories in here. So I would talk about how worried I was about my setup before I started, thinking I had to have this big fancy studio. But I ended up filming my first 25 videos in my living room on that $15 microphone on my smartphone with a window for light. I would have to clean up the toys in the background before, you know, when our kids were younger, before I could even start recording. I would also talk about how you don't need a big space. Like my current space is in a corner. It's about 6 feet by 7 feet, or about 2 meters by 2 meters. And a couple of years ago, we went and revisited Alcatraz prison. Just so you know, like, this is about a third of the size of an Alcatraz prison cell. Like, it is not a big space. So don't feel like you need a big space. If you see people with their fancy full basement studio designs, you just don't need any of that. Okay. So that one should show up. And then the last one is strong opinions. So like I said, you want to have your strong opinions on here. This is the thing that makes you different from other people. My strong opinions on this are that people spend way too much time worrying about gear, backgrounds, things like that. I heard a story about a woman who spent $10,000 to upgrade her office and still couldn't bring herself to record. So I want to warn people that you shouldn't use gear as a procrastination excuse, which happens all the time. I do the same thing with fitness. Oh, I'm going to start exercising more. Oh, let me research shoes. Let me get the perfect socks so I don't get blisters. And when we really just need to, you know, start exercising. So I just want to reemphasize that if people can see and hear you, what you talk about in your videos is way more important. Okay. Now, sometimes.
Do you want to? Sorry, I was going to say, do you want to add something about spending way too much money there?
Not right now. Maybe I'll do it when I record. I'm not too worried about it right now. So And then I'm going to put in, here I have this saved. I'm going to put in here, and you can tell whatever your tool is this, what video you're going to link to on the end screen. So at the end of this video, it's going to link to how to record YouTube videos at home, simple business owner setup. So, all right. And that's it. And then we're going to hit generate my script, and we'll give that a second to do its thing. So,
so now somebody doesn't have the YT90 app.
Yeah.
And they're just either they're writing it on their own, like, you know, when we used to have to use only our brains to get this done for script writing.
It's exhausting.
Way back in the day. What are do you want to go over like the 3 things they should really focus on?
Yeah. Well, so I used to, sometimes people say, oh my gosh, how much time did you spend writing before we had AI? And the answer was not as much, or not that much, not like, let me put it this way. With the right frameworks, a script using, AI in some way is something that you can get in a few minutes that might have taken 15 hours to really write and think through. And when we review this, and you'll see what it did, that'll be a little bit more clear. Did I used to spend 15 hours writing my scripts? Heck no. I had 2 young kids, full-time job when I started my channel, right? So I literally just, are you crying again? Is one of your eyes watering? Is that what?
Tears to my eyes.
Okay.
When you mentioned when children were little, I can't take it. It's beautiful. Actually.
So no, I didn't spend a lot of time then. I just didn't have scripts that were as good. But as you would imagine, YouTube's got more competitive, and we've all got these tools, and the game has we've had to level up basically.
When you say the scripts weren't as good, and I mean, I'm looking at some people here in the comments who I know have been on YouTube or who I know have experience copywriting or working with scripts. It's not necessarily they weren't as good, is that they probably weren't as streamlined for conversion. Like they might have been good entertainment scripts, or they might have been good info scripts, but actually converting somebody to becoming a buyer, maybe they didn't have those pieces in there.
They were good for teaching. They were not good for retention.
Right.
Like the biggest thing that
where we're at now. That's a good point.
Is everything on YouTube, right?
Yeah.
If people drop off of your videos too early, YouTube will stop recommending your videos. And one of the things that I tell people all the time, I'm like, if you're the only one promoting your videos, which in the beginning you will be, but eventually if you're the only one that promotes your videos, YouTube's way too much work. But when YouTube will go and find thousands of people for you, that's when it becomes totally worth it. So the biggest thing now is that AI helps me write in a way that I can have much higher retention scripts, where before I'd have to think like, okay, I've opened this loop here, and then I want to keep them here, and then I need to add some more emotion and things like that. And we'll probably see some of that when we go through that here in just a second. Let's see. Carol said, is this planning just the first video, or is this going to be for the full 30 days? I think I missed something. The plan was to go through all 4 videos that I would publish in August. That process took a while, and we haven't reviewed it yet. So maybe we'll just take the temperature of the room at that point, and maybe I'll just do the rest after we get off. I don't know. What do you think, Candy? Like after watching that?
I'm going to make sure, I want to see what the app spits out first, honestly, before making that call. Because if the app spits out, 75% goodness that you can actually work with, we might want to spend a little more time on the result. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
Before and to further I get bored and I go to do something else. So
yeah, well, I'll be highly offended. But I know, again, I'm hoping this is helpful. It's helping me, right? I'm getting my scripts written.
Yeah, exactly.
If we were to, so to go back to your other question though, so what do you want to think about with this? You want to think about high retention, and then again, the 3 things that you want to make sure you have in there is your face, which is, we can talk about faceless videos another time, but your strong opinions and your stories. Just make sure every video has those things. That's
real quick, Carol had a follow-up question, because we were talking about, is this planning for that for full 30 days? Because these are going to be the August videos. Do you want to kind of address that, of how you go into the month to think about what you're going to talk about?
Yes. So most of the time, I don't do anything strategic around this, other than the fact that maybe if YouTube, on my channel, if YouTube releases a new feature, I go, oh, cool, I want to make a video about that because I'm excited about it, assuming they've released it to everybody or most people. YouTube is better about giving everybody a feature pretty quickly, unlike Facebook, which will roll out a new feature over 37 years.
Mm-hmm.
So I like to be open for that. These specific 4 videos, I'm actually starting a new series in July. Or actually, I think the first one will go out next week, where I am trying to tie them all together. And it's basically all of the basics for a business owner wanting to start a YouTube channel. Really talking to that person who's an expert in their field, but has no idea what they're doing on YouTube. So in this case, yes. And you'll see, the 4 videos that we're going to potentially write today do kind of link to each other in that way. So that's kind of what I'm doing.
Wait, so is August going to be a serial? It's going to be a series? Or is it
it's
all
part
of
of a
August
series?
will be
It's
the
actually
same thing?
it's actually
or is
13.
that internally? Is it a series? Or like, what are we doing? Shouldn't I know this? I should probably know this. I need to look at a calendar.
Question. Yeah, you're not in the loop on this yet. Internally, it's a series. It's not.
Okay.
Here's video 2, because on YouTube, you never want to do that. And people make this mistake with podcasts a lot. You never want somebody to, like, nobody's going to click on episode 7 of something on YouTube, because that's just not what they do, right? It's like, well, what were the first 6 episodes? It's just not the same in a podcasting app like audio. You see the list of episodes, and maybe you'll click on episode 7 because you like that topic. I do that all the time, but it just doesn't happen that way on YouTube. So it's an internal series. They're going to link to each other on the end screen, but it's not. It's not it's not being promoted that way. I will say, to go back to what you were saying, Carol, like in this case, these are the ones that I've got laid out. But if I get excited about something in, the beginning of August, I may just bump one of these a week and make another video, time permitting. If I don't have time, then I won't. But yeah, great questions though. Okay, let's take a look here at what we have. So back over. So what it's done is it's given title ideas, thumbnail ideas, and the script outline. And again, for anybody just tuning in, this is our YT90 app that we have for our clients and members. If you want to join our membership and try the first month for $5, there's a link in the description. But you can do this stuff with your AI tool if you can get it to write like you and sound like you. So, all right. So minimalist studio setup for business owners. Let's start with titles because they're at the top. I filmed my first 25 videos in my living room. Here's what you actually need. It's okay. Your YouTube studio doesn't need to be bigger than an Alcatraz prison cell. I kind of like that.
Alcatraz I like it, but Alcatraz is problematic right now. So I wouldn't use it as an example, but I wouldn't put it in a title of anything.
True. Yeah. By the way, when you are like scripting and recording your videos, you can put extra stuff in and then, take it out when you're editing too. Why busy entrepreneurs overthink their YouTube setup and what to do instead. The minimalist YouTube setup that actually generates leads. No fancy studio required or needed. Oh, I like that one. I'm going to favorite that one.
Yeah, that's good.
Stop buying gear. Start recording. A business owner's minimal YouTube setup. Oh, I like that one too.
I like that one too.
Tell us in the chat right now.
I like it.
You can see these numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Which one is your favorite? Let us know in the chat right now. I would love.
Well, you shouldn't have favorited the ones that you favorited, because then somebody's gonna be like, "Well, Jerry is the expert. He said that he liked these 2, so I'm gonna say these 2."
They're all of these are good titles, other than maybe Alcatraz, because you said Alcatraz is problematic.
I think it's fine. I just would, if I put that in a title of something, I would just know that that's something that might come up. So
that one would probably work, even if it's just your YouTube studio doesn't need to be bigger than a prison cell or something like that. Although Alcatraz does make it more interesting. But these are all trained on like what I know about titles. So I think they're all good titles. Sometimes AI will give you something and it's just not good, but I think these are all good. And so my reactions are kind of more along the lines of, does it match what I'm going to talk about? And what's the emotion I feel when I see it, would I click on it potentially? I will say too, in YouTube, you can test up to 3 titles. So it's okay to have more than one. So, okay.
Talk about length of the titles. Votes. Yeah. What? Yeah. Length of the titles. Like how many, wordy?
60 characters.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
If it's more than 60 characters, it'll get cut off on some views. So
that's why I'm looking at where we're at, where it's going to get cut off. Minimalist YouTube setup done. I think that's one way to look at it too.
Yeah, and these may all be these are probably all 60 or less. I'm not good at judging character count
Mhm.
just on the fly, but let's see. We have 5, 4, 5. Um, let's see,
Yeah, we kinda all
4,
like 2 if we rewrite it some way, I think 2. That was another one,
3,
yeah.
4. Though 2 is fun. 4, like number 2 rewritten. All right, so number 2 was your oh yeah, without the Alcatraz part. Yes.
Let me
Okay.
find a way to do it, yeah.
All right. Love it. All right. So let's look next at the thumbnail concepts. And so just to emphasize really quick, thumbnails are so important. I've got to figure out. I forget I have to remove these.
The comments.
Remove the comments so that otherwise I have to scroll back up to find it. Okay, there we go. So it's important when you're prioritizing what to do. Like in my programs, the whole idea is let's get you growing a lead generating YouTube channel in 90 minutes a week so that you can start now instead of saying next month, next quarter, next year. And to do that, we're only focusing on the most important things that have the highest return on effort. And that's generally going to be, other than some things we do in your channel setup, it's going to be your script outline, not a word for word script, but your script outline, your title, and your thumbnail, because those are the things that the loop gets your videos recommended. Basically, if YouTube starts recommending your videos, called an impression, and then they click on it, you get, that's your title and thumbnail. Lots of people click. Then assuming they watch a long time, doesn't have to be all of it, could be 60% of it. That's high retention. That's the script. And then as long as that keeps happening, YouTube will keep recommending it to more people. So that's why we spend the most time on this. I saw a stat once. It still seems crazy, but they said if you make a thumbnail that's 10% better, you don't get 10% more views. You could get 400% more views from that. So don't take that like in a high pressure situation. Like it's better to get a video out there with a pretty good thumbnail than to, delay publishing. But all right. So top thumbnail concepts. 1, creator sits at a small, tiny desk in a corner setup, no fancy backdrop, just a plain colored wall behind
Show
them.
your screen.
Oh, sorry. Thank you. They are, these are kind of small on the screen too. Can I?
I know it was kind of small earlier too, but we kind of got it because it was the titles, so they were a little bit more.
Yeah, they were bigger. There we go.
And I will say from a design concept too, if your brain doesn't, if you are not a visual person, sometimes reading this makes your brain hurt a little bit. Don't stress out about it for the descriptions.
Yeah. That's one of the things we're working on improving in the app. But so creator sits at a small, tiny desk, corner setup, no fancy backdrop, just a plain colored wall behind them. I like that. They're looking directly at the camera with a calm, confident expression, slight smile, arms relaxed, simple webcam is visible on the monitor, looks achievable, not aspirational. That feels a little busy to me, but I like some aspects of it. What do you think, Candy?
Well, if it says, if the actual text of what you're working with is going to say, that's all you need, to me, that's a bit vague, but it would work with the title. When we're talking about the text in conjunction with the image, I mean, I think you could even go more basic than that, because that's going to show you in kind of like a Pottery Barn type of home office.
Yeah.
When you actually generate that image. That's what I'm saying. Like, if you don't think visually and you're reading all these words, you're like, oh, that's so nice. She's going to look like Gwyneth Paltrow at the Goop home office. That's not what you're talking about. You're talking about like a kind of a down and dirty, I put my webcam on top of my monitor, like a more kind of raw image. That would be better for what this text would be suggesting.
It kind of gives me an idea, but now that I scroll down, I think it's kind of here. But I was thinking, like, what if it was, what if it was like perfect home studio was the text, and then half of it, looked like my background, kind of like looked really nice, but then the other half was literally just a pile of junk, that's off camera, because that's what a lot of people think, because they think, oh, there's too much stuff. There's too much clutter. That's why people end up using like those pixelated blurred backgrounds and things like that. So, all right. Side-by-side visual, massive elaborate YouTube studio with ring lights, neon signs, bookshelves full of props, camera rigs everywhere, all crossed out with a bold red X. On the right, tiny corner desk with a laptop, small mic, and window. Stop overcomplicating it. I like that one. I think that's strong.
That one.
This is the other cool thing.
Would be a hard word to use. Yeah.
Yes. This is one of the cool things about where we are now with tech is, like, before, to have that, I would have had to literally build that disaster studio, right? And just to take
Which
a
we
picture.
have.
Yes, but now AI can do that, which we'll show you in the third week of this series when we actually build some of these. So, creator holds a small, plain white price tag in front of the camera that reads $15 in large font. Expression is wide-eyed and playful. They're sharing a secret that's almost embarrassing. Simple behind them is a clean, minimal wall. Yeah. Oh, $15 mic, real results. That's interesting. Graphic of a classic jail cell door, thick bars. I can't let go of this prison thing. I think it would be fun to try now.
Well, you
Takes
could
up the
do
left half of the
prison
frame.
cell. You could be dorm room. You could do like think small, like small confined quarters.
Yeah, yeah. On the right, small cozy creator corner sped up, blah, 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 labeled with a check mark. Creator's face peeks around the edge of the jail cell door with a grinning, surprised expression. Creator stands in front of a cluttered, toy-strewn living room, the kind of chaos every parent with a young kid recognizes. They hold a phone on a small tripod pointed at themselves with a window casting clean, natural light. Their expression is unbothered, not apologetic, no ring light. You know, this I could see if it was like, imagine, like we don't live in the house that I started the channel in now, but imagine if we set this up somewhere and then the picture was actually taken from outside the window. Like that would be, as long as you could see everything clearly, that would be really, I think, eye-catching. One of the things that I've been thinking about lately with thumbnails is if I couldn't, I love putting words and YouTube logos on the screen, but if I couldn't do that, what picture could I show what the video was about? And I think that could be attention grabbing.
Yeah. You're talking about the composition perspective. So if you're outside
like
a
through the
window, that
glass.
means you're the clear, full-on peeping Tom look, which is a great visual because
Yeah.
there's something forbidden about looking through people's windows. But you're kind of saying like this is all it is. But the perspective is here's like the really simple setup, but here's what's going on. Like, well, like us, we're doing YouTube Backstage today.
Yeah.
So it's like, here's backstage. Here's what's really happening. The reality of the situation is this.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
and people like those photos, they just can't be too complicated, especially on a thumbnail.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Gwyneth Paltrow at the Goop home office, LMAO, says Carol. Cubicle. Yep. That would work.
Mhm.
Prison cell grabs attention. My office cubicle was tiny, like 5 by 5. That, you know, I don't think this is for my channel, but I would absolutely click on a video that was like the world's smallest YouTube studio and just see like how small a space you could make it in. Like, could you know?
Well, I know people who did full-on podcast from their closet because of all the hanging clothes and everything was great sound.
Yeah,
Great
absorption.
sound absorption and dampening. But so I know a lot of people who set it up that way. And then I do know some people who, once they switched to video podcasting, they just kept it in their closet and they turned on a couple big ring lights, and you literally saw like sweaters hanging in like right here, and they were like doing their show and stuff. I liked it. I thought it was funny, but
Yeah.
I think it definitely depends on the content. But yeah, you for sure can have a small space.
Yeah. It would just be funny. Like I don't know, maybe it's even just a box and all that's in there is a head and a microphone and a camera or something like that. Again, not for my channel. It's not for, time-strapped lead generating, business owners trying to grow a lead generating channel, but yeah. All right. So now that I see, we've already gone, we're already been on for a little over half an hour. I don't think we're going to do all 4 scripts today, but I'll tell you what the other videos are. But I think it's more helpful to go deeper on one of them than to just watch have you watch me just ramble over and over again 4 times. So,
because there are different parts of the script that are very important. So if somebody's not using the YT90 app, which is ridiculous, it's super easy. You guys should totally like play with it and see. But if you're using whatever you want AI wise, or you're doing it on your own, you can still do these elements. It's just going to take you longer.
So this is what we get out of it. It comes. I'm going to put this in a Google Doc so we can scan it and edit it in a second. But
good.
tells you
It'll
the
make
strategy
it bigger
behind
too.
this.
Not that I. Yeah.
What'd you say?
I said good. It'll make it bigger too. Not that I'm squinting.
So it gives you a strategy behind the video because one thing, if you use AI or something else and you don't understand the strategy behind the video, then you may ad lib yourself out of the strategy, or you may not deliver it because you don't like. Nobody should ever like this. Is what I even tell people that use the app. It's like, don't say it because it's on the screen. Like, don't be a Ron Burgundy where you just read whatever's on the teleprompter, right? From that movie Anchorman with Will Ferrell. You should understand the strategy. And if you use a different tool, like ask the AI, tell me about the strategy behind this. There's, always, push back if you want. So, but it gives you that. And then it goes through and has the hook and the different segments. And then this is just the input of what I gave it. So, for those of you that do have the app, we're waiting to be approved by Google so that, you can actually just export this to a Google Doc. It's not, and then it'll keep some of the formatting and stuff. It's not there yet. We're waiting for that. I just submitted it yesterday, but let's just paste this in. And I'll just clean this up and tighten it up like you said, so you could actually see it.
Yes,
and then, of course, I didn't honestly think about the Google Doc export before, and then it was like, oh, that would probably be easy to do. But obviously, it's one of those things where you have to connect your Google account, and Google wants to make sure that the people who are connecting their Google accounts are doing it safely. So I'm glad that they put us through that process. All right. So
Jerry,
strategy behind this video.
Yeah. Wait, before we get into this, can you reset and tell people what we're doing? Because I know that there's some new people that have come in since we started.
Yeah, go ahead. You do that. You're the host.
I was just going to take a sip of my coffee while we were going to do that. That's why I just asked you to do it. All right. So this is YouTube Backstage every Friday, noon Eastern. We are going to come on and show you actually how we are building this YouTube channel and what goes in to the backstage process. And so one of the things that behind the scenes, really, but one of the things that we're using right now is the YT90 app. You can do some of these script writing features in an AI program of your choice, or do it on your own if you have time. But we've already put some things in, and now we're going to pop out what happened during the first script, and then you can see the actual sections and how the app organized this particular content. And like Jerry had said, if you missed it before, it is an outline. We don't want you to go word for word for word. And then if you read something that the app spit out, and you're like, my 20 years of experience says otherwise, Mr. App. Yeah, obviously, don't say that thing. Don't say the thing.
Challenge this app, challenge ChatGPT, challenge Claude, challenge everybody, right?
Challenge it.
You are the expert. And thank you for doing that reset. Welcome to new people that are just popping in. Excited that YouTube is pushing the stream out to more people. It's funny because Candy and I used to work in radio. We hosted a radio show together for 15 years. And on the radio, we would literally reset about every 60 seconds. So every 60 seconds, we would be like, hey, if you're just joining us, we're talking to Justin Timberlake. Justin, what do you think about such and such? And you don't have to do that usually in a YouTube video because someone watched from the beginning. But with live streams, yeah, I guess we should. Probably not every 60 seconds. That would be overkill. But that's why.
No, but I did notice there's some new people coming in and going. And so I didn't want them looking at a screen going, what are we doing? What is happening? Yes. Yeah.
Is this channel reading Google Docs? That's not.
That's what we're doing. It's so exciting, you guys. We're reading Google Docs.
All right. So remember, this was the video all about the minimalist studio setup for business owners that want to get going on YouTube. So strategy behind the video. The hook leads with a relatable failure story. Toy-strewn living room, $15 mic. Before the viewer even asks, does this apply to me? That immediately collapses the objection that gear is the barrier. The gear as procrastination angle is the surprise insight that reframes the entire video. So notice that we haven't even gotten to the script outline yet, but notice that I didn't tell it this stuff, right? It is pulling that based on what I rambled. You saw, or you can go back and watch the replay if you came later, you saw what I rambled in. It's not about what to buy, it's about removing the excuse to delay. I did talk about that, obviously. 4 tight practical segments: sound, camera, background, lighting, let the viewer feel momentum. The Alcatraz comparison and the $10,000 renovation story do the heavy lifting on belief. They're memorable, specific, easy to retell, which drives retention and shares. Okay. All right, opening
Hang on a second.
Yes.
Hang on. Can I need to write down a note. I legit hate the phrase, do the heavy lifting. And you know why? That is, in my mind, and from what I've seen in the last month, it is one of the major AI slop phrases. I keep track of AI slop like pretty legit. Do the heavy lifting. think the reason why I don't like it so much is because there's no value to that phrase. Do the heavy lifting. The large language models just put that in when they say it's doing important work, but it's not telling you why it's doing that. So I'm going to take that out of the app.
If anyone is thinking about building their own app or even an internal tool for yourself, 99% of it is going in and training it so it stops saying not this, not that, that, and that matters.
Like
And
that.
honestly, like so
right. Yeah. Because especially when you're talking about scripting, I don't want anyone to, and this is actually, there are studies that are being started right now that we are actually changing the American lexicon by repeating phrases that we have seen printed out of AI. So we are talking like the AI. That is not what you want as a business owner at all. You want to be the one who's conveying the trust and the connection. You want to keep your own voice. So similarly, they're kind of like equating it to back in the day, you go that early 90s, well, actually it would be like an 80s into the 90s shift where you went from a very popular Valley Girl speak, because it was seen in a lot of TV shows and movies, to the vocal fry. So it'd be like, oh my God, like, and started young girls would talk like that. And then later, those are the same then women who were adults who would talk and da 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 da.
Society evolves.
That's how they know. So now we are repeating AI slop as in, no, I normally talk like that. That really does the heavy lifting.
Yeah, but I used to say things like, and honestly, like I used to say that before ChatGPT came out. Sometimes I'll say transparently. That's what I say now.
Yeah, but you don't turn around like, teen speak. By the way, my house is full of teenagers. I don't even know who's here right now. I don't know who's here. But they say things like low key. And low key, low key, low key, legit. It's like legit.
Yeah. Some of it's fine.
It's completely different.
Yeah. I will say I was at 2 live events last week out of town, and I did notice people saying AI type phrases already out loud that I don't know that they would, like, I wouldn't have, like 4 times last week, not an organized thing, but in a conversation, I would hear somebody say, and that matters. And I would go, oh, maybe you've always said that, but right now I feel like maybe that's AI. So,
really? Okay. No, really? When you said it before, it didn't matter, but you said it anyway, so it didn't matter? No. But now it matters because you're saying that matters?
All right. Well, we can start a separate live stream where you can rant about AI if you want.
No. It's just the AI slop part of it. But now I just wrote myself a little note. Take out, do the heavy lifting. See?
So let's talk about what needs to go in your script. So first, we're going to open with a hook, and you'll see that this is relatively short. I try and get into like what I would call my first segment, but the meat of the video, I try and get into it in 20 seconds or less. Now, full transparency and honestly, if you went and audited my videos, you would it's probably more like 25 to 28 seconds. A lot of the times I go through and maybe record longer because you don't know how long it's going to be till you record, and then I'll just edit something out when I'm editing. But you never want to talk for 45 seconds to a minute before starting to deliver on the promise of the video. And if you do go longer in your intro, here's a little tip. Don't say, now let's get started. Or the first thing I want, like those are all things that basically say everything I said before this doesn't matter. And we never want to do like those kind of things in there. So, all right. Most people never film their first video, not because they don't have time, because they keep waiting for the right setup. I like that. Because again, the idea is this is the minimalist setup for YouTube home studios. I filmed my first 25 videos in my living room on a $15 microphone on my phone with a window for light, and I had to move kids' toys out of the frame before every single take. Frame is definitely not what a human would say. Shot, maybe, or I'd probably say background. Now, normally, if I was using this, I wouldn't go through and edit this type of thing. I would just ad lib it when I actually deliver it, because this is, that's a waste of time. But since we're doing that here, if you're an expertise-based entrepreneur, so this is something that I like to do in the hook of every video if I have time, is I essentially repeat what my channel is about, both for the viewer to go, oh, this is for me, and for the algorithm to go, oh, this is for who? So if you're an expertise-based entrepreneur who wants a YouTube channel that actually generates leads without turning into a second job, you're in the right place. Here's what you actually need, and it's a lot less than you think. So when I said this out loud, I wouldn't, let's see. I would probably get more specific. Like, here's the actual gear that you need, and it's a lot less than you think. Then we go into segment one.
So
Now, I want to show you
wait,
something.
can I
Did
ask
you
you
have something,
about
Candy?
that hook? So yeah, so when somebody's doing the hook, let's say they're writing this on their own, the hook should really be that long as far as the amount of words go, because you're trying to still fit into that, what, 20 to 25 seconds? Like,
What
don't
do you,
leave any parts of that hook out. Like, if you're thinking like, oh, I'm going to get into it faster than that,
if
like
you,
the parts of that hook have a function, each line.
they do. The first is to make them feel like, oh yes, I don't want, like, somebody who clicks on the video about a minimalist setup is like, I don't want to, like, I feel either they think they have to have a bunch of gear or they don't want to have a bunch of gear. So it kind of confirms that for them, proves that it's not required, especially on my channel because it's
Okay.
bigger already. And then this is kind of recapping what the channel's for and things like that. This is the first kind of open loop here. Here's what you actually need, and it's a lot less than you think. Oh, okay. What is it? Because a lot of these videos about setting up your home studio are like, all right, the first thing you need is a camera. Don't spend less than $2,000 or your videos will look like garbage. So this is kind of the anti-video to that. Sometimes your hook might be longer and I'll record more if I think it's good. And then I'll just edit it out when I'm cutting it down in the editing part.
Okay.
All right. Segment one, sound. So these are broken down in here. And this is where, again, a good script writing app will help you open and close loops. So you'll see sound is the one thing that will make viewers click away faster than anything else. And most people are getting it wrong for the wrong reason. I don't know how I feel about that double wrong, but now the viewer goes, oh, what's that? Right. So we're opening loops. That's part of what the script writing app does. You notice when I went in and you, like I said, train your own if you want. You notice when I went in, I didn't say, sounds important, but most people are getting it wrong for the wrong reason. Okay. The goal is not a professional voiceover booth. It's just clear audio that doesn't distract from what you're saying. Again, this is some interesting language here. Like, do people say voiceover booth? Is that?
No.
Okay.
No.
But I would just ad lib around it. I wouldn't change it here. A $15 microphone that plugs into your phone is genuinely enough to get started. That's what I used. Link is in the description. Say this casually, not like a sales pitch. Oops. If you ever do upgrade, look for a mic with a cardioid pickup pattern. You don't need to remember that word after today. It just means it only captures sound in the front, so your neighbor's leaf blower has a fighting chance of staying out of your video. Kind of like that. Again,
Sure.
not something I said, right? Two free things that kill room echo. I didn't talk about free things, and they're I mean, technically not free, but I kind of like that. A rug on the floor and curtains on the windows. I have what might be the ugliest rug in existence in my office. I genuinely do not care because it works. I might bring up how now that you made this comment today while we were live, hey, I picked out that rug. I might say, like, I might add something like, my wife picked out that rug, so don't tell her I said that. Blackout curtains are slightly thicker than regular curtains, so they absorb a little more echo. That's the only reason I have them, not for blackout. Okay, so that it made up. It's fine, but it is. I don't sleep in this room, so. So now what it's done, and this is what your script should do too. It opens the loop, right? What's the wrong reason? And then it comes back, and then it says, and then it closes the loop, and then we open another loop. So sound gets people to stay, but there's something that makes them trust you from the very first frame. Again, there's that weird frame thing. It's almost like it thinks everybody's works in Hollywood or something with some of this language. But again, you can just, obviously ad lib the stuff. Most business owners overthink it completely. The camera question is where people disappear into research rabbit holes and never come back. Your smartphone is a broadcast quality camera. Any modern phone is more than enough. And if you already have one, your camera budget is zero. I like that. One thing to know.
I like that.
Yeah. Whatever you're using, if you were to, like I said, when this comes out, I don't read this word for word. Now, I did give the app my brand voice, but the way I do it is I look at a couple of lines, then I turn to the camera and I just ad lib them. Because once you have a well-structured script, it doesn't matter what you say in the segments. It's just about keeping people through and taking them on a journey there. So, all right, before we get into the next segment, let me just check the comments here really quick. Oh, hey, good to see you. Said, I'm using this app. I can't imagine organizing my videos without it, especially for retention purposes. Yeah, that's one of the main things it's designed to do is to have high retention. Thank you from our members for the nice comments on the app. Heather said, I do wish we could add our own AI writing rules to the app because there's a lot of those AI constructs in this output. Yeah, send them to me because I'm always looking to train it, Heather, and make it stronger. But that's also why we're adding that Google Docs export, so then you can do whatever you want to it from there. Does your app allow for customization to fit our own brand and attitude? Yeah, there's a point. I'll show you here when I go back to screen share. There's a place where you can go through and basically tell it exactly like your brand voice or put in a sample or anything like that.
Oh, the garbage guy knew that I was live because he's here now and waving.
making noise.
Hey.
Yeah, so in here you save your lead magnets. You can paste in your voice samples, or so you can, or you can describe your voice. So I just took a couple of my videos and pasted it in, so it knew how I talked. Or you can choose. We have some default ones just so people can get started there. But yeah, that's also in there too, Carol. All right, so this is designed to be close to the way that I would say it is, yeah, the point. So if you're looking at this, you're like, I would never talk like that. Now, as obviously I pointed out a couple things that I probably wouldn't say, like frame for part of a video or things like that. So, all right. Smartphone, let's see where we live. Oh, if you want to record directly in your editing software without dealing with file transfers, a webcam is a solid move. Yeah, that's definitely AI-ish.
That's good.
Again, we're just ad-libbing from this. I'll link the ones I actually use in the description. That's it. There's no third option that you're missing. There's no minimum spec you have to hit. I like that. Tell your friend who says you have to have a $10,000 camera to,
Yeah,
I don't know.
I probably wouldn't use, like, before when we were talking about inputs into the app and I suggested like you're spending too much money, which it really is the case. You know why? Because it's a shopping spree and it's fun. We're like, ooh, this camera does what? Ooh, I can put this thing on that. And like, ooh, I can control all of my lights from an app, which I can, by the way. I can do that.
Yeah.
But I think the other part of it is when it says minimum spec, it's like there's no minimum budget you have to hit. You know, like you could keep it money wise. And that would also, in a lot of scripts, that would help.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to put that in actually, because I probably won't remember that when I get around spec or minimum budget. I think I've forgotten how to type because I voice dictate so much now.
That's a possibility.
Then it puts in my lead magnet, or we call them need magnets. In our world, the camera points at something, and what it points at might be the thing you're most worried about getting right. But the rule here is going to surprise you. So that's that next open loop, right? What's the rule? There's a background mistake that's genuinely hurting channels right now, and the people making it think it's helping them. A plain wall is not a problem. It's actually a clean, professional look that keeps the viewer focused on you and what you're saying. I have a friend, Suki, who has filmed a bunch of videos in front of a plain wall with a window for light, and she's got like 150,000 views on these videos. So maybe I would add that in. The mistake is the opposite. Too much stuff behind you. Okay, I like that. So it took the plain wall and the cluttered wall and created a contrast there. That was not part of what I rambled. Too many props, too many shelves.
You could also do that. I was going to say, you could do that with, if you kept these two lines in, you could obviously do that with a little like B-roll clip, very visual. Like,
Yes.
when you sell a home, whatever's in the home, you take 50% of it out. So somebody can envision their stuff in there. They don't need to see your collection of Lord of the Rings memorabilia. You know what I mean? Like, it's too much distraction and clutter. So
I don't know.
You can do
the right
it very
buyer might
visually.
want to see all that.
That's true. They may love it.
Occasionally. Yeah. So too much visual noise. When someone's trying to decide if they trust your advice, you don't want their eyes wandering around your background. If you do want something back there, the only question worth asking is, does this reflect my authority in a relevant way? For me, it's my YouTube plaque. For you, it might be a credential, a book you wrote, or nothing at all. My current setup is in a corner that is 6 feet by 7 feet, roughly 2 meters by 2 meters. I have viewers all over the world, so I always try and mention metric when I give things like that. And it's not just because it's like, I want everybody to feel welcome, that's part of it, but it's also because I want to make sure that their brain doesn't have to stop and figure it out. Like, okay, what would that be in the measurement that I know? And I also don't want people to feel like this video isn't for me. This, he said feet, so this video is for North Americans or anything like that. So, roughly 2 meters by 2 meters. I went to Alcatraz a couple years ago. My studio is about a third of the size of a prison cell there, and it works completely fine. Last piece of your setup is the one that will affect how you look on camera more than any filter or editing trick, and it costs nothing if you do it right. Love that. That's a great open loop.
That's good.
There's a lighting mistake that makes even good cameras look bad, and it has nothing to do with how expensive your lights are. Natural light, I like that too. So I gave the tip about light color. And again, this is where AI can be so helpful. And what happens if you mix them? But it took that and made it into a really strong loop. Like there's a lighting mistake that makes even good cameras look bad and has nothing to do with how expensive your lights are. So in other words, you could have the most, like, I'm intrigued and I already know the answer. You could have, $10,000 lights and a $10,000 camera and still get this wrong. Natural light from a window is your best option. Smooth skin, flatters your complexion, and makes you look like yourself, not like a podcast thumbnail. I'd probably see it.
Not an AI generated thumbnail.
Oh, even better. AI generated YouTube thumbnail. And again, a lot of these things I would just ad lib when I did it live. The one rule, the window goes out in front of you, not behind you. A window behind you turns you into a silhouette. If you're mixing the window light with an indoor lamp, look for bulbs labeled 5600K or 5600 Kelvin. I think it's usually 56K. Again, these are things I wouldn't take the time to rewrite. I would just ad lib it, but that's the same color temperature as outdoor light, so your skin tones stay natural instead of going orange or green. Interesting. I didn't say that, but I've never heard green.
That's the way
before.
it works. Yeah, green.
Okay.
Yeah, it greens it out.
Specific light recommendations are in the description. I'm not going to walk through them here because you don't need them to get started today. Here's the thing I really want to land before we close. Obviously, I wouldn't say that. I once heard about a woman who spent $10,000 renovating her office to get ready to record, and she still couldn't bring herself to hit record. I do this with fitness. I tell myself I'll start when I have the right shoes, the right socks, the right everything, and I never start. The setup is not what's stopping you, and now you know exactly what you need to get going. I just want to mention something really quick about this story. For those of you here, I'm not going to mention this in the video because I think it's a side note, but for anyone struggling with YouTube, what this woman eventually shared was that she just wanted to hang out in her school group. And school is like, a Facebook group, circle, Mighty Networks. It was basically her community because she knew she was the biggest expert in there on her topic. And it was kind of almost heartbreaking to hear that. But I know it's common, right? And I never heard it quite that way, but she said, I don't want to be on YouTube. I can't make a video for YouTube because I know I'm not the biggest expert out there. But if each topic only got one expert, you know how few people would be on YouTube? And so what I want to remind anyone about that, feels imposter syndrome is you don't have to be the biggest expert in anything first. Especially to get started, there are lots of people out there who don't want to learn from the biggest expert. Like there are lots of people out there that would rather learn YouTube from somebody who's, 1 year in than me, that I've been doing this for a while, even though I've spun up other channels and things like that. And I don't necessarily want to hear from the guy that's got I don't want to learn from Mr. Beast. I don't want to learn from the guy that's got 5 million subscribers. I want to learn from the person that's slightly ahead of me. So if every topic has an A to Z and A through F, then everybody who is A through E is I was about to say G. Everybody who is A through E is perfect. They want to learn from you. So don't be like this woman who has literally said, I can't make videos because I know I'm not the smartest person on YouTube in my topic. So
yeah, that's a great mindset note.
Yeah. Thank you. I have to tell myself that sometimes too. When I get in a room with somebody with 2 million subscribers, I'm like, oh, my channel's so small. And then I think how ridiculous that is, that it even popped into my brain. All right. Last part of your video is the close. So everything you just covered, sound, camera, background lighting, none of it matters more than showing up and saying something worth hearing. And now you have no reason to wait. Now you're probably wondering how to actually record your videos at home once the setup is done. Click the video on the screen. I'll show you my exact simple recording setup right now. So a couple things I want to point out about this close here. One, once you have closed, we talked about opening and closing loops throughout the script, right? So if we go back up here, the lighting mistake makes even good cameras look bad, has nothing to do with how expensive your lights are. Oh, what's that? Then we go through and we explain that to them. You don't want to say much else after that, because once you've closed the last loop and the person is no longer wondering, oh, I wonder, they're not wondering about anything because you've already told them everything, they may leave. So you want to basically wrap up as quick as possible. So that's why this is nice and tight. but I might even just delete this because I don't think I even need that part.
Yeah.
And so it would literally be, you know exactly what you need to get going, because that other line kind of repeated that anyway. Now you're probably wondering how to actually record your videos at home once the setup is done. Click the video on the screen. I'll show you my exact simple recording setup right now. Once you have gotten through, give one call to action and get out of the video as fast as possible, because if you talk for 45 seconds at the end of your video, what's going to happen is a lot of people are going to drop off. And even if they've watched most of the video, it's still going to affect your overall reach on YouTube. YouTube will not recommend it as much as one where, a lot of people make it to the end. Also know too, that a lot of people are going to drop out in your first 30 seconds, no matter what you do. And so you want, if you get more people to get to the end, then it sort of balances that out for your overall average percentage viewed or average view duration. Those are the official terms. So one call to action. It doesn't have to be to watch the next video. It could be to book a call. It could be to download your lead magnet. Could be to subscribe, but just give them one and then be done at that point. All right. All right. Any last minute questions here before we sign off? Yeah, we would have been on all day if we had done all 4 scripts.
That's what I told you. I was like, we're not doing all 4. What are you talking about? There's no, there's no way.
Well, it's because part of the packaging for this live stream was we're going to build a month worth of content all while we're live. Now, when I do this without going through it, I do, in 45 minutes, I will outline titles, thumbnails, and scripts for 4 or 5 videos. But obviously, this is a different situation here. So,
and we were working in the YT90 app for most of what we were doing today. And again, if you were just writing it on your own or using AI or using old scripts that you had and you're redoing them, just think about those elements that you saw today within the app of how you can then add those, because they're very important for retention. And that's the whole point.
Yeah. I mean, that's the game, is get people to click and then get them to watch, and I do encourage anyone, like when you're doing your stuff like this, like use AI, our app or whatever tool you've trained. But it's only going to get you there 90%, right? Or maybe 95%. And then you always want to be the human in the loop. You may notice, and if you came late, you didn't see this, but the video script started with the human, right? I said, here's what I'm going to talk about. Then AI did its thing, and then I went through and did the final piece. Think about this. Anybody could go to Claude, ChatGPT, and be like, write me a video about minimalist YouTube setups, and it could write an entire script. And it would probably not be amazing, but you would absolutely be making the same video everybody else does. And so that's why you always want to have the human in the loop, both at the beginning and the end as well. Okay. So, all right. Coming up next week, this is a 4-week series. Let me share here again. So this week we mapped out the videos. Next week, making better videos. I'm going to pull up the retention graphs. This is a graph in analytics that shows where people stopped watching your video on some of my worst performing videos. I said, might be cringeworthy. I know it will be for me. I don't even like doing it alone, let alone in a room full of people. But, that's what we'll do next week, so that before I record these videos, so that I can keep that in mind when I am recording. Then we'll do titles and thumbnails, build the actual titles, thumbnails, finalize them, and then finally analytics. I'll show you the way to look at your analytics if you hate analytics, and then what will actually change from it after that. So, okay. So thank you all for being here today.
Thank you all. You guys did great today. You did great. You did all the heavy lifting. That's the phrase.
Yeah. Understanding Indonesia said, are virtual products easier to sell on YouTube than a physical product? No, not necessarily. I don't know that it matters. It's just a matter of somebody being able to, get there. This has been great. I'm certainly inspired to dig back into our assignments in our cohort and get this thing going. She went through our YT90 activation lab, which is great. Christian said it's been a great hour. Awesome. I'm glad it was worth it for you to be here. Can't wait for next week. Love it. Diana says, one of Jerry's core values is optimism. We can do 4 episodes in an hour. You just have to once you don't overthink what videos you're going to make. I don't really talk about that, but just go to your list of ideas that hopefully you're just throwing stuff in whenever. And we actually have a workshop in Growth Lab about how to have endless video topics for business owners. But just like go in, just pick 4. It's better to just pick 4 and then do it and then get them out there. And I know for me, when I started doing this process all at once, the friction was gone. When I put this process off and tried to do it week by week, then I was just like, oh, I gotta do a video for Thursday. And I would just keep putting it off. But once I've written the script in this way, it's like, oh, I'm excited to record this. This is going to be a good video. And so that's kind of what I'm hoping will happen with you. So again, if you're watching this on replay and it was helpful, give it a like, leave a comment. The comments for live are separate from replays, so I'd love to have you do that. And if we'll leave the $5 first month for Growth Lab. If you want to try the app, and it's a 60-day money-back guarantee, that link will work through coming up on Monday. Today's the 19th, so Friday the 19th, so 20, 21, 22, through the 22nd. All right? Thanks, everyone. If you want to get notified about our upcoming ones, you can go to YouTubeBackstagePass.com, and we'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.